Hi everyone. This is my first video in English, and I wanted to do this in English because there are so many things about life that I have learned about myself that I just feel like I can explain a little bit better in English than Spanish, that is my first language. So, yeah, I feel excited, a little bit nervous, but let's keep going. Today I wanted to talk about journaling because I think it's one of the biggest and most powerful tools that I have used in my life to learn about myself, to learn about my emotions, to just understand who I am and what I was feeling through certain situations that I will normally don't talk with anyone, or I just felt too embarrassed or too afraid, or I just didn't have anyone. Even now that I just feel like I'm in a really good emotional state, I still journal a lot because there's always situations that may trigger me. Just really good things that are happening in my life. There's always decisions to make in your life, so I think journaling right now it's something that helps me a lot to go through all of this. I also wanted to talk about this because I wanted to encourage you to start doing this. And before I talk a little bit more about some prompts that you can use or questions that you can use to begin with, I wanted to tell you that if you feel afraid of starting to journal, I have been there. So I remember that when I started journaling, it was like journaling because I did it on my notes app on my phone. It was mainly because back then in 2022, I was pretty lonely. I was going through depression, to anxiety a lot, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was in a pretty bad relationship. I guess for me, it was something that I started doing because I was going through a lot of pain and I didn't want to acknowledge it. So put it in on my phone made this feel real, and it was painful actually. So that's the main reason why I was afraid to start journaling, because when you acknowledge that you're going through some pain, you have to go through that sadness and those uncomfortable feelings. I didn't want to go through those uncomfortable feelings. I was a little bit scared also that someone could read this. If you're feeling this way, afraid, start to write, or maybe afraid that you're not doing this right, afraid that you're not answering questions right, I also want to tell you that there's no right way to do this. There's no right way to do journal. It's just you and whatever comes to your mind, whatever is that you're feeling, despite the fact that maybe you're not good explaining it. At the beginning, my answers were pretty big. I was just not used to acknowledge what I was going through. So now I'm gonna show you the three journals that I've had. This is the first journal, and I wanted to show you my journal because it's not pretty, and that's okay. Lately, I've seen on social media that it's kind of a trend to have a journal that it looks nice, that it's kind of expensive, that it's aesthetic, that you can post it on social media. And sometimes when you want to start doing something, you feel like, oh, I cannot do it because I don't have the right journal, or I don't have a nice journal, I don't have a nice pen, I don't like my writing. This is something that some people may make you think, but it's not necessary to have an expensive journal or a nice writing. You can literally just write in a blank paper. Journaling is not about an aesthetic, it's about getting to know yourself, and you can do this with whatever tools you have. This first journal is a gift from my sister. Actually, I just stole it. My sister had it there for some years and she never used it. Yeah, as you can see, there's no like nice drawings, nice pictures. This is just like my name. I'm gonna focus it. Basically, at the beginning, I was using this for university. So I was learning Korean. I have a lot of, like Korean letters when I was practicing. So now I'm gonna show you the second journal that I got that is a little bit more visual. I wanted to start writing about good things that will happen to me, because also journal is not about only talking about painful stories, but also about the good things. I learned how powerful it is to also acknowledge the good things that are happening in your life, even if they're really small. So I actually never kept like writing in this journal. I have like some like some stuff that I got from my best friend, like this postcards from Portugal. And so I got this from a girl who had made this. It's pretty small, but I was writing just like really specific things that will happen in my life in my days. And they were like really, really simple. So, for example, like I looked at myself in the mirror and I felt pretty. This was something that was not usual for me. So I wrote this because I was like, whoa, this is a good feeling and I want to remember this. Today I felt a lot of happiness because I got home and I laid down on my bed. Then I have some more visual stuff. So for example, this is, I don't know what this is, but it's when I went to my semester abroad in Italy. And then I read about this day. This is like a ticket to a club in Florence in Italy. This was my first time in Florence. I really love the city. And I went there with some friends, and my boyfriend was there also, but we were just friends back then. It's so nice that I kept this. I like to keep these little things. And I have this ticket. This is a ticket for a theater, Teatro Massimo. This is in Sicilia, Palermo. Also, I used to write a lot when I did my semester in Italy because I wanted to remember the little simple things. So I was just writing about these little things, and this is another idea of things that you can journal about. And trust me, it's gonna make you feel way more grateful about the little things in your life. It just makes you acknowledge that there's great things in life that usually you don't stop to see them and appreciate them. This is my current journal. It's way prettier and I love it so much. So pretty. I'm gonna try to show you better, but as you can see, this is like kind of gold. It has a lot of texture. I love things with texture. I love flowers too, and I love books, so that's why I had to get this. It's from Paper Blanks, and I believe they still have this on the market. I'm gonna show you a little bit about this new journal. As you can see, it's just like writing and writing. It's not done yet, but it's just writing. I think I have like some drawings here, and they're not like nice drawings. It's just like crazy drawings. And I wanted to show you because I don't want people to have kind of a pressure of start journaling and making it look nice and aesthetic. I have journaled in a train, I have journaled in a bus, I have journaled in my bed. When I'm crying, when I feel sad, it's not always about making the moment like aesthetic and pretty. Sometimes you have to write because you feel bad. I do recommend that you make it like a ritual. You don't only go to journal when you feel bad. Something that I really like to do is to put this light. I love this light that I have, that it's kind of like sunlight, and put on a candle, and then I put on some incense. I really like to do this like daily. There are some times where I feel really bad about a situation and I just feel like I really need to write right now and I don't do this. But it's really nice to have rituals. So I feel like if you want to take it more, not seriously, but more into your life, try to make it a ritual. It's not only about making it look pretty, but just making yourself feel comfortable. I also like to put this kind of frequencies. I think you cannot hear them, but I really like to do this. And I just put on my glasses and feel like smart. Then I start writing. I really love to do this. I'm gonna leave you some of the first questions that I answered on my first journal. So if you want to start journaling, you can answer these questions. I think they're really friendly for the beginning, and please do not push yourself into trying to write a lot. At the beginning, it's hard to explain what you're going through, and that's totally normal. I'm also gonna leave them here so you can take a screenshot and then answer them. The first one is, how do I feel when I have a big experience? These are my answers. You can see they're pretty short, so don't feel bad if you cannot answer a lot. Second one is what's the purpose and what I do. I'm gonna give you some of the answers that I got because it can make you feel like a little bit more not so lost. So my answer was to make people feel loved and better in this chaotic world. I didn't know how I was gonna do that, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to over explain yourself if you cannot do that. Third question is what are the qualities that I look for in a best friend? It was a really important question for me back then because, like I said, I was pretty lonely and I also didn't have like really good friends at some point of my life. So I was aiming to make new friends, and it's pretty important that you at least say one thing like I want them to be loyal, so you keep this in your head and in your mind, and when you meet people you remember it unconsciously. The fourth question is what are my unique skills and talent? Well, sometimes you may feel like no matter how low self-esteem you have and you feel like I cannot do anything right, I promise that there's at least one thing that it's gonna come to your mind. So please write this, answer this, and I'm gonna show you my answer. I can sense emotions and I can feel deep and I make art. It's okay if they're not like talents that are like valuable in society, you know, like stuff that can be useful in a work or whatever. I feel like the I can sense emotions. It's just something that a lot of people may be like, okay, but I know what I meant back then and I stick by it. Next question is what are the best qualities I express in a personal relationship? This is also pretty nice because back then I was in a really bad relationship and I used to feel because of what this person used to tell me and make me feel like I used to feel like I didn't have anything to offer, that I was not worth to love and to be loved. And there was still some stuff that I used to think like, you know, I can offer this. No matter how this person used to make me feel like, oh, you're a bad girlfriend and you're never gonna be like better. I still felt like I had some things, you know, and I answered, I care a lot and I can hear people and try to understand them. I can make them feel loved and special. And this really helped me because it made me realize that I was not that bad person that this guy made me think I was. It doesn't have to be about romantic relationships, it can be also about friendships. What kind of world do you want to live in? I answered, I want to live in a world in which there's no cruelty and people are loving. How do you want to inspire people? What do you think you need to be inspired? What are you doing right now that can reflect the vision that you want for the world? Like you said, okay, I want a world where people are loving. Like, what are you doing right now that can help that out? If you think you're not doing anything that can help this out, then you can talk about this too. What can I do to work towards this? And yeah, those are the questions. I hope you like this video, and mostly I hope that this made you feel inspired to begin to journal. If you want more questions, let me know. I think that at the beginning it can be overwhelming if there's too much questions, because if you're not used to it, you may feel like a little bit scared. Yeah, I hope this is useful and see you later.